All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're live streaming right now. Yeah, there we go. Haha. Okay, so, okay, bear with me. It's just me and Cade tonight. The rest of the boys couldn't be here tonight, so I'm kind of trying out a new setup to see what we're working with here. Looks like I think that I'm talking to you right now. I think that we're live. Okay, looks like we're live. Good stuff. Looks like go ahead and kill that before I get confused. All right, so we've got the live chat window working. We can talk to you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brushfire Mind, and I apologize for being a little out of sorts on that. We're doing the direct live stream tonight instead of the Google Hangout on air that we usually do on Sunday nights, because it's just Cade and I. We're both in the studio, so we got nobody calling in. And we've got our first live chat mention. Yay! I'm not going to call out anybody's first and last name, but I'm glad that you have your whole name listed there so that I can say this. So here's a heads up. When we do these going forward, I'm going to take the live chat and I'm going to put it right there. It's going to be streaming right behind Cade's head so that you guys can read what you said, what other people were saying, when you go back and watch the recording later. Right now, the live chat just kind of disappears when you go back and watch the show later. So the audience that watches us offline after the live show, I've got several guys, especially downrange, that are telling me that they like to get they like to get it offline the next day or a couple days later and listen to it while they're working or whatever. So be working on doing it into a podcast for those guys. But because we've got people watching it offline later, I'm working on getting it so the live chat is actually running behind Cade's head. And I say behind Cade's head because when he's not here next to me, that's where it'll still be there, and you got all kind of me, all the me you need left right here. So so there's that little bit of housekeeping. And so you know, that means that if you're using your full name in the live chat, that will be very visible in posterity after I put the live chat stream on behind Cade's head. So you might want to think about that. Maybe shorten your name, maybe use an initial, something like that.
Come up with a cool handle.
Yeah. You know, good operational security, OPSEC. I'm old soldier. Soldiers are good at, OPSEC, InfoSec, all that stuff. We're good at sex. That's what we do. So keep that in mind. And then the other one, I want to talk for a minute, and I'm springing this on Cade as a total surprise. I meant to talk to him about it earlier. But I want to talk for just a minute because today's the 23rd. Yep, 23rd. Yesterday was 22nd. I talked to my old man, old Sergeant Major Lowry, about this, but I decided to put it off a month because I got a bunch of stuff going on at the house right now. It's a little tricky. But next month on the 22nd, and I'm going to try to do this every month going forward for a while. I will be live streaming pretty much all day on the 22nd. And the idea is to do this for the soldiers, the 22 soldiers a month that we're losing to suicide. So what I want to do is do a live show, and have the live chat available, have a call-in number available so that people can call in. I'll be doing face masking and voice masking so that people can call in anonymously to talk about issues. And 22 soldiers a day. It's a travesty.
Now say that again. Is it a day? Because before you said a month. But is it a day?
It's 22 soldiers a day. I'm going to do the live stream about that on the 22nd of the month.
Got it.
Okay. And you're welcome to join me in studio for that. Any of my soldiers that know me, know kind of where I am geographically, you feel free to send me a private message on Facebook and let me know if y'all want to come over and sit in the studio for an hour or a couple hours, just hang out and do that live stream on the 22nd. I'd be thrilled to have you. Just let me know. And yeah, so I want to do those. And guys, I'm gonna ask you to excuse me for just a second. I've got just one teeny little technical issue I'm gonna try to solve real quick. So you can look at Cade because he's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, I am. So I do want to say this though, on that, like, yeah, that was sprung on me. I didn't know, but I think it's a great idea. All of you guys are aware because of pop culture. If you have social media, if you've never listened to Linkin Park, it doesn't matter. If you have social media, if you have friends that are aware of pop culture, you know about Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, hanging himself this past week. And the thing that I want to add in after Chris said that is just when it comes to basic depression, basic severe depression, based on things that we all deal with, and not even to go into the artist's curse, as it were, but the things that myself and a lot of you guys who've never been downrange deal with, that leads to actually taking one's own life. Most of that is still so misunderstood. And I can say that based on the reactions that I have seen to Chester Bennington. And if you can imagine, if that sort of mental anguish that leads one to take one's own life is so misunderstood, we cannot even grasp, myself, not Chris, and not his other battle buddies, but we civilians cannot even grasp what these men have seen, what they have lived through.
Yeah, it wasn't popcorn and flip flops for everybody. You guys have probably heard me talk about a little bit. I love doing the conduct, doing the business of war. Doing the mission that I had was amazing. But being there's a hell of a lot more to it. You see crazy stuff that's not even related to the fact that you're in war. There was a dude in town, in downrange, local, not a military guy, not involved with the local militia or insurgency or allies. He wasn't Blue 4. He was just a regular old dude, older guy, and he had a mentally handicapped son. It was about 12 or 13, I think. Severely mentally handicapped, physically functional, but in pretty rough shape upstairs. And you'd call the police immediately if you saw an old man sitting on his front porch with his little handicapped boy running around in the yard on a dog chain. Let me say that again. And I mean a chain. I don't mean a leash, no. He had him on a flipping chain, chained to a stake in the ground, running around in the yard. Old man sitting on the front porch, drinking his tea and smoking his pipe. That's just one example of the kind of just crazy shit that soldiers see. So make no mistake, those 22 that we lose every day, even if they haven't been downrange, Many of them haven't. But those 22 we lose every day, that soldier is a casualty of war. Even if he hasn't actually been to the war, even if he hasn't actually deployed and seen any action, the current operational tempo, the number of wars in which we are embroiled, the drastic differences and complexities of the various geopolitical ramifications of the wars in which we are involved, there's a lot of room for soldiers to question, am I doing the right thing? And that's still just a tiny part of it. And we'll explore that. We'll talk to soldiers who have been there. Like I said, I'm planning on doing that the 22nd of the month as much as possible. I don't know what time. I may just cut this thing on at 0600 and hang out with you until YouTube cuts me off. I believe they'll let me stream 8 hours consecutively, and then they'll fall down. Oh, hey, Lindsay's watching. I hope you heard everything I just said about doing the thing on the 22nd. And we have Daniel, and like I said, I'm not gonna say last names. People can see your names if they're watching the show right now, if they're in the chat. To the half a dozen of y'all that are watching right now, there's always the super chat. Y'all can see there's a shadow over my left shoulder here. If y'all want to click that little dollar bill sign and do the super chat, what'll happen, you could give me $1 or $5 or however much you want to give me, and that goes to build the studio, to improve everything. Those of you who are just coming back that haven't watched us in a while, you can see that we've updated the studio pretty substantially. We've got the nice backdrop here, the theater couches, really stepping this thing up. So, what are we talking about tonight? We've gotten through the housekeeping, and let's see. The last week or so, we've had the Donald Trump Jr. email meeting scandal, which this is another one of those, there's no there. It was poorly handled. There's clearly there's a problem with someone who is not a politician not understanding the protocols of politics. What he did, meeting with an informant, is perfectly legal. There are no legal restrictions on the sort of informant that a politician can meet with to conduct opposition research. That's a big piece of the First Amendment, freedom of the press. Just like the press, New York Times and so on and so forth, that shared Hillary's emails and stuff like that, there was classified information shared there. Because of the First Amendment, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, especially to protect political speech, those newspapers cannot be prosecuted for sharing that information. But the individuals who signed a non-disclosure agreement, swore an oath not to release it, people like, who's one that's famous for doing that? Hillary Clinton. And so those guys, absolutely vulnerable to prosecution.
Are you sure that she knew what she was doing, though? I mean, bless her heart, she just had everyone's interest in mind.
Actually, I'm going to get to that in just a second. Because we're going to talk just briefly about Kushner. So, the rumor,
it's not a rumor,
is that there's some amateur Game of Thrones bullshit. Apparently, that's a direct quote from an important anonymous source. So Eric Erickson is a talk show guy down here, talk radio guy, and he's famous for being very, very well connected. He said that a high up source described, and I'm sorry, Eric, I don't mean to steal your thunder there. I just want to point out, because I'll be dolphin tailing this into the Kushner stuff for a second. But he said there is some amateur Game of Thrones bullshit going on in the White House. Apparently, Kushner and Donald Jr. are just not getting along too good. And the whole drop on Jr.'s flipping illicit meeting, well, his meeting, was Kushner backstabbing him, because Kushner's being looked at over having hired Russian troll farmers. Now, for those of you who don't know, a troll farm is literally a group of professional Twitter, YouTube, they're professional social media trolls. They go on social media and they create the illusion of support. So they apparently they're saying that Kushner hired a Russian troll farm, and as a result, that may have played something in the election. Now, that's common. That is also a common practice. Has been since the advent of social media. Barrio did it. Hillary did it. Everybody did it. It's something that is done commonly, but it hasn't been an issue before now, because where the issue is with Kushner is not that hiring the troll farmers is a crime, but apparently he may have funded that with off-book money. And I know this is not what we said we were going to talk about, but I'm going to swing back around to that. I just want to do the quick update.
No, I'm having trouble getting the image out of my head of an actual guy plowing and planting little gnomes. I make trolls for you.
I make trolls.
6 months maximum. We have trolls you'll love.
My name is Ivan.
Their name's always Ivan.
In Mother Russia, we have nothing but potato. My left testicle is prosthetic potato.
In Soviet Russia, farm trolls you.
Anyway, so here's what's interesting about the Kushner deal. Unlike U.S. Information Security Code, unlike USIT 18, which governs the situation, which is the pertinent law with the Hillary Clinton emails, where she was only spared prosecution by the asserting argument that she was not competent to have formed intent when she did the whole thing with the email server. And I mean, she broke the shit out of the law. Let's not play. She broke the law a lot. 60,000 felonies that we are certain of. Period. Full stop. The USIT 18 section 22, I think.
Do not look at me for that.
It was 19 or 22, or the both of them. Anyway, it very clearly says, very clearly says that gross negligence is the standard. Campaign finance law, however, it has to be proved that Kushner intentionally used off-book money for an illicit purpose, to hide that money for an illicit purpose. If that can't be proved, then that's very different. So in the case of, if they come back on Kushner and say that you should have been reporting this money in your campaign finance exposure, what the hell's the word that I'm looking for? Divulgence. When you gave us the campaign finance stuff, you should have divulged this information. Well, he can basically say, "Oh, I didn't know that," and under the law, that's actually a credible defense. That's one I heard Eric Erickson talk about, and I was like, "No, bullshit. Ignorance of the law is no excuse." Oh, well, there it is. Oh, what do you know? Funny thing about the law, it's written down. Even statutory law, law that's based on how cases have been decided in the past, that's written down. It's in black and white, sometimes black and sepia. So you got all that going on, and it's amateur Game of Thrones hour at the White House, apparently. And what else happened last week? Speaking of Game of Thrones, what else happened last week? Speaking of Game of Thrones,
You want me to talk about what about these people who have it on their DVR and haven't watched it yet?
okay, so what happened last week? What I was expecting from the bald man here was the new Game of Thrones started. That would have been enough.
They know that.
And then I would have said,
Is this not America?
and then I would have said,
I don't know.
no, talking about, speaking of Game of Thrones, Charlie Gard is apparently still kicking, but people are sending death threats to the hospital that's keeping him alive.
I don't get the connection there, though. They're both British?
Babies, murder, England. It's all Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Straight up.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
proceed.
Oh, yeah. Plus, there's this whole power struggle thing going on between, goodness and decency and human morality and, the opposite, which is socialism.
House piece of shit and everybody else.
So, we are going to get the hell off of politics after I've said this little bit here. The thing that's going on with Charlie Gard. Charlie Gard is the absolute damn it case study on why, oh why, socialized medicine has to go. Charlie Gard was sentenced to death by a court based on a doctor's recommendation. The doctor said he can't be helped. The court ordered the child to die. The parents, the international community, outcry, and our boy Donald Trump fought. We opened our mouths, we said words, and we put them on their back foot. Now, the American doctor says that there is between an 11 and 50% chance that Charlie can not only be treated and survive, but have a marginally improved quality of life. He will never be, apparently, a high-functioning adult, but he could survive and have at least function enough to live a life of some kind.
So God forbid he may not have the dignity that they so desperately want him to have in his death.
Yes, because let me tell you about the dignity of death. When you witness someone die, and they lose their bowel and their bladder, and they seize, and they freeze, and they end, there is no dignity there. Game of Thrones. There's an exchange between a couple of characters, and the guy says, we fart when we die. If the gods wanted us to have dignity, why'd they make us fart when we die? Well, that's putting it gently. So Charlie is in the position he is in because he is in a socialized medical situation. And here's what happened. In America, we developed treatment for that condition. In socialist London, they did not, because socialism, being the equal distribution of poverty, absolutely stifles advancement and discovery. Socialized medicine will be the functional end of medical advancement. As America is one of the last bastions of not socialized medicine, and that I say very loosely because we're screwing it up right now. but we are the last bastion of medical advancement. I know. Bring me some comments, live chat. Tell me I'm wrong. But for every Indian, Korean, or Japanese firm that is developing substantial technology, medical advancement, every one of them is backed by huge money from American investment, because there's a profit margin in that development in this country. There is not a profit margin in that development anywhere else in the world. That's huge. You put a stop to that, and we stay where we are. There will be no cure for AIDS. There will be no cure for cancer. And I know the arguments, we've already cured AIDS, we've already cured cancer. They're just holding on to it because they're greedy, and it's more profitable to sell a treatment than a cure. We can put our tinfoil hats on about that some other time. There will be no cure if we socialize our medicine and shut down our advancement. It's Democrats are Democrats because they're bad at math. Now, that's enough politics. Of course, I've done rambled on for 27 minutes about flipping politics, and what we really wanted to do tonight is stop talking about damn politics. I wanted to give you the recap for this last week because it's the same shit over and over and over again. Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that.
This week, Jeff Sessions. And
this week we've got some noise with Jeff Sessions. We've got some noise with Sean Spicer. Spicer's out, and apparently the new guy is just a total hillbot and never Trumper. I can't wait to see how that goes. Or I'd love to hear Donald talk about, why that guy that said you're a loser, Donald. You'll never be the president, Donald. You're a bad person, Donald. Hey, you want a job? Man, he better be made out of solid damn gold. But anyway, let's talk about Game of Thrones. I keep teasing back to it. We're not going to talk about what happened on the season premiere last week, except that I'll say this. The season premiere last week had one moment early that just caught me off guard. I was not ready for it, and it was awesome, and thank you for that. It was just perfect. Perfect. But other than that, the season premiere, I think Cade said it. It was like a long trailer for an amazing 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
So I'm jazzed, absolutely jazzed. As soon as we're done here, we're going to smoke a cigarette and go watch episode 2, and I'm going to kick this knucklehead out of my house so I can go. I'm exhausted, guys. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Anyway, but here's what I want to talk about Game of Thrones and entertainment media generally. I've mentioned Eric Erickson a couple of times. Erickson is a Game of Thrones junkie. He tells this story about how he was, last year, he had a bout with sickness and ended up in the hospital. And he refused to watch Game of Thrones because he's such a good Christian. And he heard it was all violence and nudity.
Yeah, a fair amount of it is.
And that's especially season 1.
Mm.
They hooked us in season 1 with the porn. It was, they got us with the porn in the first season. I get that, whatever. I could do with a little less of it. It kind of steps on the story in some places. But anyway, Erickson keeps pointing it out, keeps making reference to it, and he talks about how he has to watch it a day later because he has to wait for it to be on demand. And there's a special website where somebody goes through and takes it and cuts out all the sex and the nastier gore. I'm like, yeah, there's plot devices and stuff. You're not just missing uncomfortable stuff.
So basically,
there.
You're getting a 6-minute episode with a bunch of puzzle pieces missing.
Yeah. But the reason I mentioned him is he was talking about that on the radio the other day, and he started talking about entertainment media and social media and the bubble, the echo chamber that people tend to fall into. Right now, you're in my echo chamber. You're hearing what I'm telling you. Um, most of you watching this probably exist in some degree of echo chamber, because as you click like on something on Facebook, or you like a video on YouTube, YouTube and Facebook don't show you more stuff that, oh, hey, this is something that you need to see. No, they show you, you might also like this. So you push in that echo chamber, and, you know, people who watch Fox News watch Fox News. I don't watch Fox News. Every very now and then. I'm not particularly fond of them. They're a little left for me. And then the people who watch CNN and MSNBC and the like, that's what they watch. That's where they get their news. That's the echo chamber they live in. And he said one of the things that's wrong with our country today, and one of the reasons that it's so, in fact, the primary reason that we're so very polarized, is that we can live in an echo chamber where we only ever hear things we agree with, and we're never exposed to dissenting opinions. Not true. Unless you're on the left. And here's what I'm really getting to. Over the last 6 months or so, we've seen a lot of violence. Black Bloc, Antifa, the baseball shooting, the Black Lives Matter, extraordinary violence in our streets. Sometimes it looks like we're actually on the brink of an active civil war, because we have these militant, violent leftists. Here's what's really interesting about that. If you are a leftist and you do not go out of your way to seek dissenting opinions, you can absolutely live in a total echo chamber. If you are on the right, however, if you've got a lot of pro-Trump running up your Twitter, your Facebook, your YouTube, you're in a bit of an echo chamber as well. However, you cannot go to the theater and see a film whose messaging is on your side.
There exists little to no fiction, in other words.
Right. You go to the theater and see a film, it will lean left. It will lean, almost invariably, it will lean hard left. Wonder Woman didn't as bad as we expected it to, but...
Well, the setting was World War I.
Right. So if you're on the far left, yeah, that's all you get. You can be totally inundated with constant echo chamber garbage. If you're on the far right, well, you had that Tim Allen show that got canceled.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel terrible. I can't remember the name of the show. I watched it too. I liked it.
Oh, Last Man Standing.
Oh yeah, Last Man Standing. It was funny. There's the ranch, and it's really.
There were accidents.
There's a character on the ranch that leans way to the right, played by Sam Elliott. He's fantastic, hilarious character, like a caricature of why we're terrible people, and it's. I could do a whole video on analyzing what the leftist thinks we are like, and how they misinterpret insults, intended insults, and fail to realize that when they intend insult, they're sometimes painfully accurate and don't even understand why. And that right there, the intended insult, the painfully accurate, don't understand why, that gave us the newest RoboCop movie, where it was supposed to be this whole just tear down of the police, of the militarization of police, of Fox News. They hit Fox News real hard in that.
Of capitalism.
Gun rights, capitalism.
Related to actually Michael Keaton's character, and the whole, the CEO of the robotics company and all that was very much a part of it. But that was the accident. That's the accident that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and then they accidentally gave us a very pro-capitalist, pro-gun movie.
And we're unsure with things like Captain America: Civil War, even Winter Soldier. a lot of those Marvel movies are. I don't know if they're accident. I don't know if the Russo brothers are closet conservatives.
I don't either. But Captain America: Civil War was, yeah, it was a straight love letter to the Second Amendment. It was beautiful.
There was no mistaking when you're watching that. The Civil War obviously was between Iron Man and the people who agreed with him on accountability for the actions and collateral damage.
Yeah, gun control.
Right. And Captain America and his side. It was. I mean, I've tried watching the thing without my own personal blinders on. That's impossible to do completely. But it was pretty damn clear in that film that one was supposed to be rooting for Captain America. That Iron Man was emotionally compromised.
Yep.
By guilt and by his own PTSD that they covered in Iron Man 3. But I mean, it was Captain America's movie.
About Iron Man 3.
It was. I mean, there was just no mistaking that he was in the right in that. Actually, figuratively and
yeah,
literally, if you're talking about.
He was even sitting on the right side of this. He was even sitting on stage right when he said, "The safest hands are still our own." And I doubt that was by accident. Oh, now we've taken this off in a completely different direction than what we had discussed before the show, but that's fine. This is a conversation that we've been wanting to have anyway. On camera, we've had these conversations several times. One of the things that aggravated me in Civil War, and it's fine that it's there because this is something that people actually do. So you have the woman that approaches Tony Stark early in the movie, and she's got the picture of her son, and she says, he died in that town. And the town that she's talking about is where Ultron in the previous film had ripped a great big chunk of Earth up, was carrying it into orbit to throw it down to cause an extinction level meteor strike event.
It was under a terroristic attack.
Right. So the Avengers went in, stopped them at the last minute, got as many people out as they could. I mean, they were throwing people into school buses and flying them off the island. Right? I mean, or off the chunk of land. Thor was picking up a bus, taking it away, and coming back, and they were getting people out of the city as much as possible.
Not just blowing stuff up willy-nilly.
Right.
They were strictly on a humanitarian rescue mission for the majority of what they were doing.
And fighting a very dangerous enemy, an army. They were fighting a very dangerous army because Ultron had all the little selfie robots. And then at the end of it, they managed to get that chunk of land dropped before it got to the altitude where it would hit terminal velocity and do the actual damage and kill everybody on the planet. They didn't get everybody out of the city. There was collateral damage. If a soldier draws and returns fire on an enemy that's shooting at him, and the enemy shoots a little girl that's behind the soldier, that soldier did not murder that little girl any more than Tony Stark's character murdered that woman's son who happened to be in the village.
Who, let's make this clear, would have died anyway.
Yes. And that is an important part of it. Absent the actions of the Avengers in that scene, that
he simply would have died more spectacularly.
Global catastrophic extinction event, he'd have died then. So you save as many lives as possible. I don't know how else to put it. If somebody dies as collateral damage in a fight, in war, especially when you're talking about the respondent, not the aggressor. The respondent is not guilty of murder. The respondent is not responsible for that death. Do we try to minimize casualties? Do we try to minimize collateral damage? Absolutely. Is completely eliminating collateral damage possible? No, it's not possible. It is not an option. Especially when we live in a time where the enemy that we fight uses catastrophic civilian casualties to make political points. And wow, I really didn't mean to get spun off on Islam, so I'm going to go ahead and pull back a little bit right there. Tell you what, Cade, why don't you go ahead and you got something else to dig into, or did you get a WHM for us?
I got a kind of a strange twist on White Hats Matter tonight, actually. But were you done talking about that?
Yeah, I think we overstepped the whole Renly thing and all that. We'll just get back to that later.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff, though.
That may be its own whole show.
Yeah, and to you guys, actually, we're going to be injecting more entertainment media into what we're doing. We're going to do movie reviews. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. And we will separate that, so you guys that are watching for us to talk about your Jeff Sessions and Sean Spicer, Young and Restless kind of stuff, we'll still do that. We're still going to do that. We're gonna have separate things that we do for that are going to appeal to our generation and our nerdiness and our whole geeky subculture thing as well, not in place of what you're used to having on the Brushfire Mind. That said, so White Hats Matter, heartwarming tales of death and destruction. This week is a little bit of a twist, and a lot of that's because our good buddy Steve is out cruising down Highway 1. I thought it was out there now.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway.
If we just ruined the surprise, we're sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was anyway.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, so Steve's not here, and Steve is our White Hats Matter guy, as you guys know. So I'm gonna do a little interesting twist, and this is also to show you guys that we at BFM do not ignore when something happens that doesn't fit our narrative, because we are trying not to create an echo chamber that is so limited, that has these particular blinders on them. So White Hats Matter tonight is two stories in which a person was not, or people were not shot at and killed. So no hashtag DRTs, no dead right there's tonight. It's actually two poor examples of defending one's life and one's property, one's family. But both had happy endings. So I do want to point that out. Both did turn out, thankfully, they turned out okay. One incident was in Fresno, California, a couple of days ago. This was a Starbucks, an attempted robbery at a Starbucks. California, I guess, Chris, is not an open carry state at all.
No.
All right. So a man comes in armed. He's got an Optimus Prime Transformers mask on. He has a big knife and a gun. And the Good Samaritan in this case is a gentleman who came up behind him with a chair and hit him and wrestled with him. Now, I encourage you guys to watch the video. We're not gonna pop it up here, but it worked out for the best. The Good Samaritan did his duty, who, following the rules, didn't have a gun on him. He wrestled the guy to the ground. But during this struggle, there are a lot of type moments where the guy wraps his arm around the guy with the gun, and that gun is flailing in all different directions. At any point, if that guy had pulled the trigger, all kinds of things and people could have been hit. There could have been all kinds of damage done. Thankfully, there was not. But this one little slip and pull of the trigger, the girl behind the counter could have been killed. And all of it could have been prevented if California gave their citizens their constitutional right to open carry or even conceal carry in public places. Yes, you can go off on the tangent about if there would have been a gunfight as a result or whatever. Yes, I mean, yeah, there could have been all kinds of different results.
Yeah,
but the point
gunfights
is,
quick and then they're over. California,
they're not Hollywood gunfights.
The state of California should be treated. They should be treated as if they're an open rebellion. It is a sanctuary state operating in glaring violation of the constitutional rights of American citizens within that state. California should be treated as if they are in an open state of rebellion. It's right up there with last week. Guys, I deleted the show last week because my kids kept coming in. It was terrible. It was a nightmare. We had fun, but wow, did we lose any shred of professionalism, which I know we're pretty casual anyway, but mid-sentence, my baby girl's coming up, Daddy, open this popcorn for me. But last week we talked about how the Democrats are currently they're openly in a state of insurgency, and we need to talk about that again in more detail. But California's a problem. California should be considered a rogue state.
Yeah, well, they consider themselves a republic. If you want to separate yourself from the union, I'm pretty okay with that, honestly.
Yep.
You're certainly operating in that way, and as a result, thankfully, nothing actually happened. But as a result, what could have happened in this particular case in Fresno is that someone could have been seriously injured or killed because a man had to use a chair when a gun was necessary. And so that was a kind of situation that could have very, very well been avoided had an armed citizen been there to take charge and do things the right way. Now, speaking of doing things the right way, the other White Hats Matter story is a man who did actually defend his store with a shotgun. However, this was in Lumberton, North Carolina. The man aimed specifically for the legs of the robbers, the armed robbers, with his shotgun. Now, it's a shotgun, so it's going to do a lot of damage even if you aim for the legs. I mean, it's a shotgun. It's not like he took a rifle and made a pinpoint shot right at the guy's knee or anything.
Doesn't the Bible have some pretty specific words about killing people? Yeah, but it's a little more vague on the subject of kneecaps.
So this man, and it was kind of a cool little anecdotal thing because he said my mama comes in here. She's 84 years old. She comes in the store every day, and I knew if I killed one of them boys, she wouldn't want to come back into the store. So he was, it was all cute and everything, but you don't aim to maim. You aim to kill, always. Again, the situation turned out okay, but boys and girls, don't aim for the legs, okay? Front and center, right here. That's where you're going every time. It's the biggest target. Aim for the chest. Shoot to kill every time. Thankfully, that turned out okay, but I wanted to acknowledge that there are incidents where lethal force is not used, where things turned out okay, but there are lessons not to be followed. So that is the White Hats Matter for tonight. Still the good guy won, still the bad guy lost, but pay attention, boys and girls, when these things happen. Don't let the left get a hold of it and go, see. No, these are fatefully positive things that happened out of poorly executed exercise of your Second Amendment rights. And that's it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. This has been the Brushfire Mind. Every Sunday evening we do the live stream at 8 o'clock. That's 2000 for my favorite customers. And do keep an eye out for the 22nd when we're going to be doing the suicide hotline thing. I'm going to call it something better than that. It's a work in progress. I got a month to figure it out a little better. And check us out on Patreon. Any love you can give us would be greatly appreciated. $1 a month would be brilliant. If you are watching from minds.com, please subscribe on YouTube. If you are watching from YouTube, and don't know about minds.com. That's MINDS, just like the last word in Brushfire Mind, minds.com. It's like Facebook without the censorship. So you can get more interesting political stuff, more conservative political stuff. Now, just a heads up, it's properly uncensored. So people post nudes, people post bizarre tinfoil hat stuff. It's fantastic. If you ever want to just troll through a smattering microcosm of the human condition, shoo buddy, minds.com. And you can find us there at Brushfire Mind. Same on Twitter at Brushfire Mind. Hit us on Facebook, Brushfire Mind. Make sure you like, follow, and all that stuff. And tell your friends. We need, right now, our main objective is to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're teeny tiny. When we hit 1,000 subscribers, we can change our channel name so that we're no longer youtube.com/XY ampersand 374322765, whatever. We can be youtube.com/ the Brushfire Mind or Brushfire Mind. But do go check out our website, thebrushfiremind.com. Keep an eye on that. The t-shirt shop is live. I've got so far I've got the t-shirts up. I've got the red pill truth t-shirt. I've got the Nazi blue pill, vote Democrat because socialism is easy. I've got a shirt up there that says welfare is the weaponization of charity. And I'm doing more and more t-shirt designs, and you can get those on bumper stickers and the coffee cups and the whole nine. So go buy my merch. And I'll link that in the description next week. I've only got a handful of things up there now. If you stumble across it, great. We'll get you there soon. And that's our show. So we love you. We appreciate you coming to watch. And until next week, remember, if you build a man a fire, you'll keep him warm for the evening. But if you set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Good night. Okay, we are off. I think we're off the air now. I think we're off the air now. Apparently, I'm mistaken.